I was able to clear 108. So
Hey, congrats, man. So
thank you.
was this your first one or your second one?
This is my first one. This is my first.
Wow, your first flip, you hit six figures of profit.
Yeah, and I never reached six figures on a job. This was the first time I literally looked at my bank account and said,
Wow.
like, this really worked.
What's up, YouTube? It's Matthew here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to continue on listening to Jay's real estate journey on how he's able to work a 9-to-5 job and invest in real estate. We're going to talk about his first wholesale deal, flip, and rental property while working a full-time job. Because I know a lot of you all are probably in the same position that he is in. You're working a 9-to-5 job or even a part-time job, and you want to know how to balance a full-time job and real estate investing. I know you all will resonate with his story and learn different ways that you can be able to work a full-time job and at the same time invest in real estate. There's a ton of value in this video, so be sure to like this video, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any questions. And another thing, if you all are trying to find different ways that you can target motivated sellers, be sure to check my links down below for different tools and resources that you can use to find the best motivated sellers, just like PropStream or Deal Machine. Check the links down below. All right, let's head back into the interview. I'd like to welcome Jay Jones on the channel. How are you doing, Jay?
Oh man, I'm doing pretty good, man. Thank you so much for inviting me on here, Matthew. I really do appreciate it.
Awesome, great. Yeah, I appreciate you just reaching out and just wanting to share your story to the audience because I think it's really good to have different, you know, opinions and walks of life on how to get started. And I don't
Yeah,
think I really had people or investors coming on this channel who had a consistent 9-to-5 job, was, a family man, and was still able to do real estate investing. So I just want to start off by asking, what market are you in and how'd you get started in real estate? How'd you first learn about it?
yeah. So I'm in the Metro Detroit market, so just outside of Detroit. I do mainly all like the suburb areas and just surrounding cities in Detroit. So that's the market I'm in. I got started back in 2018,
Hmm.
just strictly wholesaling. That's kind of where I started. So about 3.5, almost 4 years ago, which is kind of crazy. Doesn't seem like that at all.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I've been able to progress. So doing some wholesaling, that worked out really well. I like to look at wholesaling as like kind of my crash course into real estate investing, right?
Hmm.
Really learning how to identify a deal, talk to sellers and buyers, and learn the closing process. And I kind of look at that as my crash course. So that's kind of where I started off, was wholesaling, and then I was able to evolve into doing some flips. Just picked up my first rental
Hey,
last month.
congrats.
Oh, thank you so much. And then also became a real estate agent last year as well during the COVID era. And
Mm,
I mainly focus on the investing side, but I've done some listings as well. So hopefully I answered that second
yeah,
question.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And it's
Yeah.
crazy that like just in a short amount of time, so much things can change. Like you just started in 2018.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of want to get started on this interview. Like back then, and I know you mentioned before you were working a 9-to-5 job. What were you doing back then?
So I'm still working now. So
Okay.
I'm in the healthcare IT space. So I do a lot of like I travel to different hospitals and fix monitors, patient monitors, and things like that. So I'm in the healthcare IT space. So a lot of times I'm like always on the road, or I'm remote. So I'm usually like I'm always busy. So, and there's
Okay.
times too where I work on call. So I'll be 12 o'clock at night, 3 o'clock in the morning, driving to a hospital, so there's a lot of times where it's just sporadic. So my schedule is really never the same. So that's what I was doing, but that's what I'm still doing now. As far as the 9-to-5 part of it.
Okay. Great. Okay. So you're still working a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, I'm still
Okay.
working a 9-to-5 job. Yep.
So how are you able to, I guess, juggle the real estate investing and the 9-to-5 job at the same time?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of my audience are in that same situation and they want to
Yeah.
know, how do you do that?
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of us are in that situation.
Right.
So I'll tell you what I was doing before, and then kind of what I've been doing now since I've like closed my first fix and flip to make things
Hmm.
easier. So before, man, I was all over the place, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was doing some driving for dollars, direct mail, doing bandit signs, and I was doing a little bit of cold calling. So the way I was doing it was I cold call for 2 to 3 hours. I would do it after work. So
Hmm.
I would call my wife, if I'm coming home from a site, I'll
Hmm.
tell her, hey, can I stop at Starbucks, Panera Bread? And I would just sit there and just call, So I was doing that for a while. And I focused on a lot of offline strategies. So things that if I'm working, if I get a call from a bandit sign, that's working for me while I'm at work. If I do
Mm.
some direct mail, I could potentially get a call if I'm at work, on lunch, or coming from home. And then I would do some things on Craigslist and Facebook, just some posting, with my phone number, call or text. So I was doing a lot of that while I was working because I was like, hey, if I can just try to get somebody to call me while I'm at work,
Mm.
or like, it's been some times where I'm leaving work,
Hmm.
calling, talking to the seller, and now I'm going to an appointment. So I was doing a lot of that, man, just kind of because I didn't have the time to like sit on the phone, like, during the afternoon and call like I
Right.
wanted to. So I had to just take advantage of the things that I could do offline, as I call it, that I could kind of generate some time. And Saturday and Sundays, man, were like my bread and butter. So like that
Mm.
was, hey, I don't have to work today, or if I'm on call, I have a lot of time to do some marketing and some calling. And that's the time I took advantage of driving for dollars and calling. So I just kind of found my schedule and I just did a lot of the offline stuff, man. And it started to work.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, it sounds like in the beginning you were like you were saying you just were doing everything at
Yeah.
once and you didn't really have a process,
Yeah.
right from the beginning. And I think for a lot of people, if you're in that situation, remember that's just the beginning stage. Over time, you're going to know what works best for you, your schedule, your processes, and
Yeah.
everything, and how you said you went offline instead of like going for sellers like in a more active way. You got it through postcards and bandit signs and other things like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I really like that. So let's take the audience to your first deal. All right. So your first real estate deal, whatever it was,
Yeah.
back in 2018, right? Or was
Yeah.
it
Back in
20? Okay.
2018.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
what kind was it, a wholesale deal, a rental, or a flip, or
Oh yeah, it was a wholesale deal.
wholesale
Oh
deal?
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You're
All
gonna
right.
take me all
Yeah,
the way
let's
back.
right, right. Exactly. And so, yeah, so let's just break down this deal.
Yeah.
So we'll just start about, what were you doing to
Yeah.
marketing the seller? How did you reach out to the seller? What was your marketing strategy for this
So
particular deal?
yeah, so for that, I had it in an investor carrot website. So I was able to generate that lead from having my website, posting inside of like Craigslist and Facebook. So that's how I was able to generate it because she filled out the form, and then
Mm.
I was able to kind of vet the form and say, oh, I got a lead. So it came through my
Mm.
website.
Okay. Okay. So you have a website. So were you like doing paid advertisement like Google ads or anything, or you're just posting it on these different Facebook groups or Craigslist and
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, I was just posting on the Facebook Craigslist groups. I tried the like pay-per-click
PPC,
route. Yeah.
yeah.
I just, I needed to study. I still need to study on that
Right.
better, but I just kind of was just posting inside of Craigslist and Facebook.
Okay.
A lot of the Facebook groups, like the buy sell Facebook groups, I was
Right.
doing that a lot, and that's how I got her.
Okay, okay, got you. All right, so you posted it on a Facebook group.
Mhm.
So she filled out your information. You called her. How was that conversation? What was she looking for? What was the situation? And why was she ultimately wanting to sell her property?
Yeah. So her motivation. So she's actually a real estate agent.
Mm,
She purchased this house. It was on just outside of Detroit in a city called Ecorse, which it kind of has like its rough areas, but I found out there was like a pretty nice area where you
hmm.
literally step outside the house and you look at the Detroit River.
Oh,
And
wow.
so this was a big house, nice area. So she was a real estate agent. She purchased this home as a bed and breakfast.
Mhm.
And so when she got it, she had all these plans on renovating it, and it never got to that point.
Mm.
It was fully gutted. It actually ended up turning into a crack house, basically, where like
Mm.
the neighbors would say they would see like drug addicts on the front porch, just kind of slumped over and things like that. And there were squatters in the house, so
Mm.
it got to a point where it was vacant for years. People just start kind of squatting in the house, and she just lost all motivation to do her bed and breakfast. The project was a huge house, man. It was like 2,700 square feet,
Mm.
and it was fully gutted, and then people are squatting in the house. So when I spoke to her, I didn't even know what I was doing. So I talked
Mhm.
to her. She was saying she wants to get rid of it. She was willing to sell it for like $5,000. And the value of the houses in that area were 120, 130,000.
Wow.
And she just was so over it. She was done with it. She had to pay for the grass. She didn't want to keep paying for that. People were screwing her over on the grass. So she was just, how it goes, just all around, just a horrible experience for her. So I met up with her. I actually put it under contract before anything, which
Before viewing the property and everything?
yeah,
Oh,
which I'm
wow.
glad I did, because if I went to go see the property, I probably wouldn't have put it under contract. But
Mm.
I put it under contract before I seen it. I don't know why. And I met with her to see if there were squatters in the house, and there wasn't. So this whole
Mm.
time I'm like, in my head, like, oh my gosh, there's squatters in here. Okay, what are we gonna do? I heard all these things. There was nobody even there. So that's finally got under contract. And I was able to find a buyer for this particular deal, but not before all the drama happened.
Oh,
Right.
no. There's always drama.
The worst deal was my first one. So
Yeah.
I actually ended up JVing with another wholesaler, and
Hmm.
he kept telling me, hey, I got a buyer. Hey, I got a buyer. He's interested. So for like a whole week, man, like I'm thinking this guy's going to buy the property. The buyer comes through. I instantly understand like this guy is not interested in the property. And what happened was the wholesaler called me 2 days before we were supposed to close originally.
Hmm.
Hey, man, we're not going to close. Buyer doesn't want it. I said, well, you told me for a whole week he was interested. Well, I got the HUD statement, and the
Hmm.
wholesaler was trying to make $30,000 on my deal that I was just trying to make an easy 5 or 6 thousand on.
Oh, dang.
So he
That's
marked
crazy.
it all the way up.
Wow. And so that would have not been a 50-50 split at all.
No, and that
Dang.
I was willing to split it with him. I was willing to,
Right.
like, because I sold it for 14,000. I could have sold it for more. And I
Right.
was willing to just, hey man, let's just split it down the middle, call it a win. Let's go to the next one.
Right.
And I kept wanting him to sign a JV agreement. And he kept pushing me off, right? A rookie mistake on my end,
Yeah.
pushing me off. And then he tried to raise it $30,000
Wow.
for himself. So
Crazy.
it just blew the deal up, man. So after that happened, I was like nervous because I had to tell the seller, hey, I have to push closing back. I didn't know what to do. I went back and I remarketed the property in the investor groups and finally found someone. It was a lady who actually does the design and her husband does the construction. It was like a
Mm.
perfect scenario. And she walks through the house and she's like, I love it. I love it. Like it's down to the studs, man. I'm like, first wholesale deal. I'm like, man, and she was like in love with this property. She
Wow.
bought it, no problems, and she turned it into something great, man. Like that house was HGTV ready. So
Wow.
I was able to close it, make a good $6,000 on it, man, and I was able to help the seller out and help the buyer get a nice property. And that's my first deal story, though, man. I was
Hey.
sweating.
Hey, let's go. Hey, there's always drama in our first deal. So, it's just part of the process. But yeah, so just to, I guess, recap everything, in a concise way. So motivation is just someone who had a property for a lot of, many years and just it was distress. They didn't want to, fix it up or anything like that.
Yep.
And so you got it under contract at $5,000, right?
Yeah.
All right. And you sold it to your buyer for 11,000.
14. I think it was 14,000. So yeah, I got under contract for 5, sold it for 14, and then that was how much I sold it for.
14. Okay, so you made $9,000
Yeah,
in your
and then I
first
ended up
deal.
doing something. I don't know why I did it. I paid like the taxes for the seller, so then
Oh,
it
okay.
came out to 6,000. I don't know why I did that, but
Got you.
so I took it
'Cause
from my assignment fee, and I ended up at 6.
got you. Yeah, because I was trying, yeah, I was figuring out how's the 6,000. Got you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, that's great. So do you know what they ended up selling the house for, or did they keep it for themselves?
Yeah,
Like,
so she sold it, and I think, and I gotta go back, and I probably posted on my Instagram. I think she sold it for like 120,000,
okay.
115 or 120 or something like that. I know she put a lot of work into it.
Right, right.
It was she had to do like full
Probably
gut
new,
everything.
yeah, electric, plumbing,
Yeah,
and everything. Yeah.
yeah, but it was beautiful, and that's when I first understood wholesaling. Like, wow, I found a deal under market. Someone was able to buy it, and I understood the concept, right? So proof of concept was that first deal, and I was like, yo, this really works, man. And
Right.
so, the other ones were not that bad. The first one was probably the stickiest one, but the other ones were pretty easy after that.
Right, right. Because I guess you know the ins and out, you know how to deal with other wholesalers if you want to
Yep,
JV and everything like that.
yep.
So yeah, you definitely learn over time. So you were doing this while you were working a 9 to 5 job and you were able to close your first deal for $6,000.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, it
okay.
was crazy.
Perfect. Yeah, that is. So I guess from 2018 to now, have you been just concentrating? I know you said you just did your first rental property. So are you concentrating more right now on flips, on rentals, or are you still doing wholesaling? What are you currently doing?
Yeah. So so for the business part of it, I'm trying to evolve. So I've been doing a lot more fix and flips this year. So I purchased my first one last December,
Okay.
and then I've been able to close that one, and I'm closing my second one on either Monday or Tuesday. We're waiting for the actual date. We just got to clear the close. And then I picked up my rental. So I've been kind of focusing a little bit more on like just the investing side,
Right.
because I really want to pick up more rentals. So that's
Yeah.
why I did some fix and flips, try to gain some capital. So now I can start trying to do the BRRRR strategy. So this is my first time with the house I just bought. I'm trying to do the BRRRR strategy. So I'm
Okay.
documenting that process. So yeah, I've been kind of focusing a little bit more on just investing, picking up properties. Just kind of, I like to take things one thing at a time. So I like to dive deep into it, learn as much as I can. Just like, as I wholesale pretty much for 2 years strictly. Like I didn't focus on anything else. And then now I feel like, okay, I understand how it works. So now I'm in the fix and flipping, deep diving into that. Now I'm getting into rentals. So I'm trying my best to kind of do one thing at a time and then just, bring it all together.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great. And so right now with your flips and your rentals that you're trying to acquire, is your marketing technique the same, like direct mail, bandit sites, or have they changed? Are you going with
Yeah.
real estate agents? How does it look now?
So yes, kind of the same. Focusing a lot on cold calling. So that's kind of what I've been doing pretty heavy
Mhm.
for the last 2 years. Cold calling. I do a little direct mail.
Mhm.
So I'll do that. And so the marketing strategy is still the same. So cold calling is the main strategy. That's how I've been able to get a lot under contract. And just to kind of answer my first question in the beginning, so what I'm doing now
Mhm.
is I have 2 virtual assistants.
Okay.
So before I was doing a lot of this myself, just doing everything. Once my budgeting kind of got better with like that first fix and flip, I took
Mhm.
that money and then I just kind of expanded my marketing team. So now I have an admin who just does all the lead scrubbing and skip tracing, and then one person who cold calls. So
Mhm.
now I have someone who gets to work in my business for 10 hours a day. Basically, they both work 5 hours a piece. So now I got a little more time to do some more things like search for deals, whether it's on Zillow or for sale by owners, throw a little bit more offers. So now I'm able to do a little more because I'm leveraging, my employees to help me now get more deals. And my one virtual assistant did actually get me a deal, which is my first rental. So I was
Yo,
super excited because for a
let's
couple of months
go.
we didn't really get anything. We were getting close,
Mhm.
and she got me my first rental, man. And I was like, yo, this works too. So another proof of concept for me. So that's how
Right.
I'm leveraging now, is still cold calling, still doing some skip tracing, very little direct mail, but I'm now leveraging, my virtual assistants to help me out and do things better and faster.
Got you. And yeah, that's some advice to, I guess, all the people still working that 9 to 5 job, is that, when you get some capital, you can consider hiring out, some of these tasks
Yeah.
like you've done. It
Oh
really
yeah.
helps, balance the two, your job and the real estate investing side. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. So I just want to break down quickly, like one of your flips. You say you've
Yeah.
done 2 flips so far.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me about one of them. Like, we don't have to go so much about the marketing and stuff, but like, what were the numbers? How long did it
Yeah.
take from start to finish, and rehab budget,
Yeah.
and the profit at the end?
All right. So I'll share this with Matthew's audience. I'm not really a numbers guy. I don't like to share, but I would
Okay,
definitely share with your audience to just show them like what can happen and how real estate can change your life.
I
So,
appreciate that.
so I bought the deal, and this was funny because I was going to wholesale this deal.
Hmm.
And I got it under contract for 52,500. It was in a really nice area, right outside of Detroit. It was valued at the time at 130.
Mm,
So it needed, I thought it needed $35,000 worth of work. When I got it, of course, it needed 47. So I was a
mm,
little off, but I bought it for 52.5, put about 47 into it. So we're like around, what is that, like 92-ish,
right,
94, something like that.
right.
And this was during the COVID era. So I bought
Mm,
it in December during the pandemic time. And then I sold it for 186. So at the end of
wow.
it, and also I was an agent on the deal. So I made an extra, I think it was like an extra 3,500 or
Hmm.
$3,700 by just listing my own property. So at the end of it all, I made 108.
108.
108, yeah. So that was
Dang.
it, my profit plus being an agent. I was able to clear 108. So
Hey, congrats, man. So
thank you.
was this your first one or your second one?
This is my first one. This is my first.
Wow, your first flip, you hit 6 figures of profit.
Yeah, and I never reached six figures on a job. This was the first time I literally looked at my bank account and said,
Wow.
like, this really worked. And I was able to use hard money on this one, which is he had pretty okay rates, but I was able to raise the money for that with hard money, and then I used some of my money. So my lender, he gives me, at the time, he was going to give me 70% of the value of the 52,500. I was able to talk him up to 75% purchase price, and he gives me 50% rehab. Um,
Mm,
I was able to leverage that 50% rehab, like helped me a lot, because when I was getting down to the very little, I was able to start kind of pulling, some of the money that that was in the budget to finish the project. When I say down to the very last day before closing, I was paying for something and I literally just had to pay for an AC unit. Like literally, I went down to the very last part of my bank account, and I'm sitting.
wow.
All right, all right. Next day, boom. I
108.
was like, yo, this is crazy. So
Dang.
I like to say I didn't go broke. I went invested, right? So I
R-
invested everything, and it worked, man. And that's why I was
Okay.
like, is beautiful. So
Got you, got you. Okay. And so just to recap, so you said like for purchase price and rehab, it was around 94,
yeah,
95,000. And how much of that did the hard money lender cover?
yeah. So he covered. So of the purchase price, he would cover 75%.
Okay, got
And
you.
then, so the good thing about this price or this hard money lender is he wraps in his interest for like 7 months. So
Okay.
8 months. So my first deal, he took the interest I would pay monthly, and he said, "Hey Jay, I can just wrap it in 8 months into the loan, so that if you sell it in 6 months, you'll basically just get reimbursed for the other two. But if you hold it for 9 months, you'll start paying interest only payments." So that helped me because I'm like, I got a 9 to 5 job. I'm trying to manage the budget, trying to figure all this out. So I didn't have to pay interest only payments. But when I sold, he got all his money then, which I'm fine.
Mm,
That works. And I think all in all, I think he made like an extra, it was anywhere between like a $5,000 and $6,000 on like his money.
right.
So because I was paying 12%. So he made all his money there, made it on the back end. And the sweetest part about my first deal was I bought it with cash and my retail buyer bought it with cash.
Wow.
I was able to close that thing in like a week and a half. And I closed it
Dang.
on the day my second daughter was born in the hospital.
Oh wow,
So
congrats. Dang, that's a special date for sure, a special moment,
it
time
was crazy.
period.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
crazy. I was super blessed, man, to get that thing finished, and I learned a lot. And it took me into my second one, and I like to learn lessons, man. So it helped me out a lot.
Got you. And yeah, I'm learning a lot too because I haven't done like an official flip. I hoteled the deal
Oh
with
yeah.
another investor where I just took it down. We took it down with his funds. We just cleaned it out and put it back on the market. And
Okay.
so I'm learning, about flipping and rehabbing and different things like that. But what tips or advice can you give about people looking for contractors? Because I know that's a common question, is
Yeah.
there any like do's or don'ts when trying to hire a contractor, or did you do it yourself, do some of the work yourself, or how was that?
Yeah. So I hired everything out because I was just told it's just better for time and things like that. So just advice is just, man, contractors are they're hard, man. So try to get as many, like say if you have a property or even now, you can start kind of interviewing contractors now and seeing their work. Maybe going to see, like right now, if you don't have a deal, like if it's me, I don't have a deal, and I want to see what contractors are doing. I'll try to talk to maybe 5 or 6 of them. And then I'll say like, hey, can I come to one of your flips? Just kind of see how the work looks. And that way I can really judge like, okay, they're doing a good job, or, maybe they're not, maybe they're half doing it. Just try to interview as many, contractors as possible. Always do paperwork, always have paperwork. It's just kind of the thing we deal with as investors is we don't know, what type of people we're dealing with until we actually have to deal with them. But always have paperwork going on with them. And if you can, see if you can go to one of their flips or one of their
Mm,
renovations and see how they're doing. Um,
mm.
and another thing that I'm going to do is as I'm driving around, like driving for dollars, when I see the dumpsters and I see a contract crew actually working, I'm going to start walking in there and just saying, hey, I'm an investor and, just want to see if you guys want to pick up more business. And again, hey, can I see what kind of, renovations you guys are doing? So just always trying to vet, always just trying to do paperwork as well, man, just to protect yourself. Um,
Mm.
and if they seem sketchy, don't go with it.
Don't
Like
go.
this
Right.
peace of mind is like it's too expensive, man. So if you notice like, man, he's not professional, or I'm just not feeling it, don't go with them. You
Gotcha.
can ask some investors as well, like, who they're using. I know they don't like to share a lot, but see if someone will maybe give you a contractor that they're using on one of their flips.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that advice for sure. I know I'm going to use that for sure,
Yeah.
and my audience will too. So just so for your first flip, how long from start to finish did it take?
Yeah. So from December and I finished up in April. So that's what, like,
4 or 5 months.
5 months. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Okay.
I sold it like in May.
In May.
So
Okay.
so it was like a 5 month deal. That sounds about right. Maybe 6 months at the most.
Okay. Okay.
So from start to finish, that's what it turned out to. I actually have it on my YouTube. It's called Project Boston. And it takes you from like the first day I closed, which I was sweating bullets. You probably can't
Right.
tell, but I was sweating. And then all the way until I closed. So that's on there now.
Got you. And yeah, by the way, you all link down below for his channel. Follow him. Let's get his subscribers up and everything.
Please.
Yeah. So for your second flip, did you use the same contractor and hard money lender?
Yeah, yep. So the
Okay.
second one, I use the same hard money lender, and I use my same contract team from the first one. The real cool thing about the second one was the how I got it, which was
Hmm.
the guy who shoots my YouTube videos, the professional looking ones, right? So a lot of
Right.
times me kind of doing my thing, but
Yeah.
the professional looking videos, he referred it. It was a referral by him. He works at
Wow.
as well, and his supervisor, her parents had owned this house in a very nice neighborhood. I mean, like I never would have thought I would flip in this area. And they just had this house. So their motivation was they were paying for the taxes, they were paying for all the utilities, and I think their nephew was just staying there for a couple of years. So they're just paying out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
already have a house in another area, so it's in state. So they just were tired of paying for this house, and I ended up buying that house, and it was crazy because I bought it for 170, which I never thought I would buy a house like that high, but it was a good deal because it was worth 270, and it was a cosmetic deal. That's the deal I'm on now that I closed in, I think like some Monday or Tuesday. I put in 35,000 into it, bought it for 170, and we're gonna sell it for 278. So
Okay, decent.
yeah, so
A
and
nice profit for sure.
I got that from a referral. Like I was searching for deals, and all of a sudden that came out of nowhere from someone who's shooting my YouTube videos, who's like, my best friend. And he was able to speak up for me. And I was like, yo, I appreciate that, because people, they know what you do and they just won't say nothing, man. And he did that, and it led to a deal, and I was able to get it closed. So, or we're working on getting it closed.
Let's go. Congrats to that for sure. Yeah, and so by the way, this are you partnered at all in some of your deals like with other investors, or is it just basically you run it through your LLC or your individual
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I just run through my LLC, and I'm just
Okay.
partnering up with the hard money lender. A cool thing I did on the property I just bought from my rental, I
Mm-hmm.
actually teamed up with another investor, but more on the lending side. So I actually got
Mm.
a private lender on this one.
So it's private
Uh,
money.
Private money, yeah. So I use the same lender that I use on my other two deals. So
Mm-hmm.
he's on one part of it, and I was able to raise the additional part with another investor who funded the gap. So he's a
Mm.
private lender. So I'm actually partnered with him as an investor on the lending side. But mainly, it's just like, I'll run it with, my contract team, and, that. So the third one was really cool because I was actually finally able to figure out, when people say like how you can get into a deal with 100% like OPM.
Right.
For a
No.
while, even wholesale, I was like, how do you do that? How do you do that?
Right.
And I was actually finally able to do it. So it was crazy. So that part is cool because I basically am into the deal right now with none of my own money, and I'm just funding the rehab. But I'm gonna pay him off. My second lender, he gave me 27,000
Mm.
to finish basically this transaction, because I was like, hey, I got a flip going on now. I was like, I just need some money. This is a good deal, but basically at this point, I'm tied into this one flip, and didn't even really know the guy. Like I just met him like 4 or 5 months ago. Real cool guy, and we just networked. Right, we became accountability partners, and all of a sudden, I asked people, my family members, "Hey, I got this deal." Nobody,
Mhm.
crickets. Right? And next thing you know, the last person I asked was him, and I'm like, hey, you said something about a partnership one time. I was like, hey, I got this deal. Would you be, willing to lend on it? And he's like, okay. And I sent him a nice lengthy email of comps and value and what I would do to it. And he's like, all right, man, I'll do it.
Nice. That's crazy. At the last minute.
Yeah. And I was like, I was able to raise private money without even knowing I was raising private money by just building a relationship with the person, being an accountability partner with them. And
Mm.
because of him, I'm able to get into my first rental. So I'm going to pay him off as soon as I sell this property, just to kind of, just to get him good, just to get him.
Right.
I don't like owning people, but
Right.
I was,
Exactly.
and just being able to partner up with someone else who's also an investor, and not even expecting it, man.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, just being able, like proof of concept, like you were saying, being able to get a property, no money down, absolutely no money down, use
Yeah,
other people's money, private money, hard money lending for
yeah,
everything. So yeah,
crazy, man.
crazy. So with this, I guess the rental property, what do you project like the cash flow to be? How much, you get it under contract and the appraisal, and do you think you'll get a good cash out refinance, once that's done?
Yeah, that's the goal, right? That's what I
Right.
hope. So Yeah, so I'm planning on doing the BRRRR strategy. So we bought it at 111. The houses are in that area are worth 185. So it was literally a cosmetic job when I walked through it.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually on the MLS. Another thing that I thought I wouldn't be grabbing properties off the MLS. The funny part about it was my virtual assistant actually called him. We didn't know it was on the MLS, and we found that he was motivated because he stays in art. He moved to Arkansas and he has a house in Metro Detroit, and he needed the money to close on his other house. And he already had it on the market for like 50, 60 days, had an FHA buyer fell through. So now he's like, hey, I just need the money. I call him. He's like, hey, I'll take a cash offer. And I talked him down from, he was asking like 135 all the way down to 111. And then I was like, I walked through the house. I'm like, yo, this house doesn't need much work. It's just an ugly looking house.
Mm-hmm.
So we got it for 111. We're projecting to put in about 25,000 into it. Just make it all, nice and brand new. And then we're hoping we can, get it refied out at about 180, 185. I'm looking at cash flow at least $400.
Mm-hmm.
Hoping to get like a mortgage amount of around say 900. It says estimated 850, but I know the area they're renting for 1350 and 1400.
Okay.
So I'm looking to cash flow it for at least 400, hopefully 500. That would be great. And that's kind of what I'm projecting right now. And hopefully looking to
Gotcha.
cash out at least about like 30,000. So the money that I gave my one lender, I'll pay him back, and I'm hoping to get that back, from the refi. So that's the goal.
That's the go. Fingers crossed. Let's go. But
Yeah.
yeah, thanks. I do appreciate this because I'm trying to find my first rental property
Okay.
too, and just move for more towards like that side of real estate because I've done wholesaling, made some big checks, nice checks with wholesaling, but now I'm kind of looking more for long-term real estate investing growth and buy and holds.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I really do appreciate this. And I know we had a ton of value on this
Yeah,
video,
I
and I
hope.
know yeah, and I know my audience is really enjoying this. So I just want to know, is there something you would like to end off with, some words of advice to my subscribers, to people watching this video on, let's say they are working a 9 to 5 job and
Yeah.
they're thinking about, should I quit my job? Should I just not? How do I balance the two? Like, what word of advice, like, would you give to people who are in your situation to, do real estate investing?
Yeah. I mean, what I would tell them is figure out what works, because no one's going to pay your bills, right? So if I tell you to quit, don't come back to Jay Jones and say, hey man, you told me to quit, man. I got a light bill due.
Mm,
Figure out what works for you. If you need to still work your 9 to 5 to fund your real estate, which is what I do, hey man, stick to it. If you feel like you need to quit your job to kind of, build that fire under your belt, and you kind of got things lined up, go ahead and do so. But what I would say is just try to build somewhat of a system, try to figure out what works. If you're working a 9 to 5, still keep working it and figure out how you can get involved in real estate. If it's through wholesaling, if it's through fixing and flipping, purchasing properties, just try to find something that works for you. Because at the end of the day, everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different pathway. So, just try to find your way. For
mm,
me, hey, I'm gonna keep my 9 to 5 until I get enough passive income that where I can say, hey, my living expenses are good. I can pay for insurance. My family's good. Until then, my job is my funding partner, right? So I've got a 401k. I get paid every 2 weeks. So now they're gonna help me fund my real estate. And that's just my mindset, right? And I've just changed my perspective into thinking about it. So just find out what works for you and, tap into that. So that's what I would just say. And, just be passionate about what you do, and then you'll find out how to get it done.
gotcha. Yeah, I appreciate that. And yeah, just harkening back on what you're saying, like keeping your 9 to 5 job actually helps you when you actually want to come and get a refinance on your property because banks
Exactly.
love seeing a consistent 9 to 5 income, right? And so a lot of investors, if they're in that situation or people just getting started, you got to consider the banks, you know,
Yeah.
loans and other things like that.
Leverage,
So
you leverage
yeah,
that.
leverage, right? 100%. All right, thank you, Jay. I really do appreciate you hopping on this channel and just sharing your wealth of knowledge. But yeah, once again, you all check the link down below, follow his journey, and yeah, I hope you all have a great day. Peace.
Awesome. Thank you. See you, Matthew.
All right, thank you.
Yep.